Today's event is Embassy of India in Cairo wanting to promote the Indian startup ecosystem and connecting Egypt with India's startup ecosystem. There's a very important international startup festival coming up in the month of April in New Delhi, which is called Startup Mehakoomb. The objective of the event is to connect with all our international partners, where India's policymakers, various agencies from the government of India, Startup India, investment ecosystem players, that is investors and incubators and accelerators and startups themselves and universities and technological institutes will be participating. So through today's event, our objective was to connect with all the stakeholders in the Egyptian startup ecosystem, which means the Ministry of Planning, International Cooperation and Economic Development, which is leading the ministerial group to set up the startup support initiative and ecosystem within Egypt. We have had investors come, we have had CEOs of unicorns in Egypt come, we have had a lot of startups themselves from the Egyptian ecosystem participate in today's event. Our objective is to see how we can connect these two ecosystems with 3 or 4 very specific objectives. The objectives are, how do we share the policy making experience between India and Egypt to see that we learn from each other's experience. India has the 3rd largest startup ecosystem in the world after United States of America and China. India is a big market, so is Egypt is a big market. So how do we really share experience of policy making, support to the startups, and how various ministries and agencies can come together to offer this support to the startups. That's one objective. The second way we can come together is how Indian startups can access Egyptian market and how Egyptian startups can access Indian market. India is a population of 1.4 billion, the largest in the whole world, and Egypt with its population of 110 million will provide access to not just Egypt's market, but also the market to the rest of the Africa and also an entry point to the European market. The third, another important way for them to collaborate is how Egyptian startups can access India's investment ecosystem, how they can pitch to the Indian investors. Because a lot of Indian investors are not just inward looking into investing into Indian startups, but are very excited about opportunities outside. So it's an excellent opportunity for Egyptian startups to pitch their ideas to the Indian investors. And fourth and most important, we feel, is for the startups to connect with each other. Because India and Egypt have a lot of commonalities, but also complementarities. And there are opportunities for Indian startups to have in Egypt by collaborating with local partners, and the same will apply for Egyptian startups to collaborate with Indian startups. So through this initiative, today's initiative, we have connected with the government of Egypt, various agencies in Egypt, and various stakeholders in the Egyptian ecosystem. And we believe that collaboration in startups would become a very important pillar of collaboration between India-Egypt strategic partnership.